breaking news here on this Friday. This is all according to Senator Josh Hawley. He has whistleblowers coming to him that detail most of Trump's security detail working the event last Saturday were not even Secret Service. Again, we're not even Secret Service. DHS assigned unprepared and inexperienced personnel. So this is the letter right now that Senator Josh Hawley just put out to the Department of Homeland Security saying, I write to raise concerns brought to me by whistleblowers about your department's stunning failure to protect former President Trump on July 13th, 2024. As Secretary of Homeland Security, you are ultimately responsible for your agency and its components, including the U.S. Secret Service. Whistleblowers who have direct knowledge of the event have approached my office according to the allegations. The July 13th rally was considered to be a loose security event. For example, detection canines were not used to monitor entry and detect threats in the usual manner. Individuals without proper destinations were able to gain access to backstage areas. Department personnel did not appropriately police the security buffer around the podium and were also not stationed at regular intervals around the event's security perimeter. In addition, whistleblower allegations suggest the majority of DHS officials were not, in fact, Secret Service agents, but instead drawn from the department's Homeland Security investigations. This is especially concerning given that these security investigators were unfamiliar with standard protocols typically used at these types of events, according to the allegations. As a member of the Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee, which has oversight jurisdiction over your department, I will continue to investigate your department's role in the staggering security failures on July 13th. Unfortunately, your department has not been appropriately forthcoming with members of Congress, abruptly ending the only call with the Secret Service before senators could even ask a question. This is completely unacceptable and contrary to the public's interest in transparency. Instead, we have learned more from whistleblowers than your department's officials. I will continue to protect the confidentiality of all who contact my office and ensure that they receive the full protections under the law to which they are entitled, so that my office can continue its investigation into the events of July 13th, 2024. Please provide the following information no later than 7 days from now. Number one, how did DHS determine to staff the event, including any decision to rely on state or local officers? Number two, what percentage of the DHS agents at the event were from HSI rather than the Secret Service? Were a majority of officers at the event drawn from HSI or other DHS components rather than Secret Service? If so, why? Were HSI agents properly trained in staffing these types of events? Did gaps exist in the security perimeter, and were the usual protocols followed for the use of canines and magnetometers? Were agents not appropriately stationed around the podium? Were the standard protocols followed for issuing designated pins to vetted personnel that are allowed backstage? How long did agents physically spend on the ground surveying the site before the event? Did any paperwork obligations prevent a longer and more robust site survey? I await your response. Again, that's Senator Josh Hawley from Missouri with these big whistleblower allegations that have come forward to Senator Hawley. And now this continues to be a major story here, and just really the complete breakdown of security protocols for the former president, Donald Trump.
I mean, let's be honest. The Secret Service is out there and the FBI now doing these secret calls, these behind the scenes briefings where, by the way, they don't really answer questions. They strictly limited the number of questions. The Secret Service director herself did not actually brief. She was present on the call, but didn't do hardly any briefing. When she did try to answer a question or two, it did not go well. She was not well prepared. This needs to be done in public. Bottom line, we need public hearings. We need a full and thorough investigation. Neil, what we know about this is that there were 62 minutes, 62 between the time that the Secret Service identified the shooter as a person of interest, somebody acting suspiciously, and the time he started firing shots at the president. I mean, what in the world is going on? We've got to find out. Nobody in this administration is ever responsible, ever takes any responsibility for anything. Look at Afghanistan. 13 service members dead, hundreds if not thousands of civilians left behind to the enemy. And what did Joe Biden do? Nothing. Who was fired? Nobody. Now we've got a former president nearly assassinated. We have a good American shot to death at this rally, others in critical condition, and no one will take any responsibility. I mean, these people ought to be gone. Absolutely, the director ought to be gone. The whole top echelon ought to be gone. But I tell you what, we're going to get to the bottom of this and figure out what these people were doing. How did they allow this to happen? Why did they allow a good American to be killed? Why did they allow Trump to go on stage knowing they had a potential shooter? It's outrageous.